Welcome back to Project Tailor Made. My name's Lauren. I'll be your host today. We have the incredible privilege of chatting with Sally Marks. We have her sharing on the 3 calls of pursuing a life of meaning and courage, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So find a comfy spot. Make sure you've got a space where you can really take it in because it's going to be amazing. Welcome back to Project Tailor Made. It is my absolute pleasure to be here with you. My name's Lauren. I'll be your host as we move through this time. And today I have another fabulous guest for us to have a beautiful chat with. Her name is Sally Marks, and she, in fact, was right at the beginning of our journey as an urban team in starting a course that was for employment support for those who found themselves underemployed or long-term unemployed. Sally has been with us for many years, and she inputted into the very first course content and discovering what was going to be best for those in our community who needed this service. And she has now moved on and is one of the principals of the Stairway College. And she still, even now, gives her days to helping people discover who they are, what is their purpose, what is their call, and then living that out with passion and intention and encouragement. And so I would love to introduce you to the beautiful Sally Marks. Welcome, Sally.
Thanks, Loz. Nice to be here.
It is so wonderful to have you. And I personally have been someone who has been encouraged by Sally in my own journey in this role. She's been right there whenever I've needed an SOS of I'm still learning, what do I do? And so you're absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
And I cannot wait.
Sure.
Oh, thank you. Let's jump on in to some of what you have been preparing for us today because it's absolutely awesome. I'd love to know what your personal thoughts and feelings are around the way that purpose and calling actually fit into this whole preparation journey for work and employment.
Thanks, Loz. I really believe that we are designed and wired in a very particular and intentional way. We are no accident. And so we are the people that God designed us to be because that's the way He wants us to be. And so if we can find work that fits in with that wiring, then we're in our sweet spot. We're doing what we were designed to do, and we're being who we were called to be. And not everyone has the privilege of finding that. And so for many people, life is tough because we haven't found those things. But when we do find them, we are functioning at our very best because we're doing what God has called us to do because of the way He's designed us, who He's called us to be. And that's my mission in life, is to help people to find that.
Wow, that's amazing. Guys, could you feel that? I'm like, yes, that is amazing. And it's so true.
I need to add to that too.
Add to it. Go for it.
So part of what we're doing is finding how we're wired, what we are called to do. But another part of it is to understand that God has a story, and for us to find where we fit into His story. So one of the dangers of doing something like finding your calling and your purpose is to focus on me. It's all about me. But actually, God's story is overarching, and a part of our job is to find where we fit into God's story. Wow. And to find our unique place in that and to walk in that in fullness so that other people are blessed by that.
That is so powerful, to actually stop and to think about the fact that we haven't just been put on this planet to decipher and decide what the work is for ourselves. Just so that we feel great, but that we actually somehow get to be a part of something bigger. And when we chatted with Christy and David McHugh just, a little while ago, and they were talking about the same thing, just recognizing that we're part of this bigger story. And that's what I love about what we're doing here at Tailor Made, is giving people the invitation to believe and connect with the reality that their story is part of a bigger story that offers life and purpose to someone else. I mean, it's the greatest gift to think that my simple little life and this journey that I'm on, that I could be a part of someone else's story.
Yeah.
And that's so awesome. I love it. I love just stopping and thinking about that for a moment. Okay, so I really want you to share with us. You've been doing some research for quite some time now on this thought that we have 3 basic calls, or there are 3 calls for us in pursuing a meaningful life with both courage and calling. Could you speak to us about that a little bit?
Awesome. I'd love to. So often when we go on this journey about our purpose and our calling, we're focused on ourselves. But what I've discovered is that it's more than just about ourselves, that we generally have 3 callings in life. And the first calling is our call to be a Christian, to be a follower of Jesus, to respond to Jesus's call to life and to love and to being there, being in relationship with him. And so that is a primary calling, and it's a really important calling, and everything else in life is based on that and our response to Jesus's call to follow him. The second calling is the one that we talk about often in these sort of discussions, the specific call on our life based on the way we're wired. It speaks of our divine and individual purpose for living, our reason for living. It's linked to the way we're designed and wired. And so often that doesn't need a lot of explanation because it's the unique calling that most of us are searching for.
Yeah, true.
The one that often I think gets overlooked is the call that we face every day in response to the multiple demands on us just in our everyday lives. And so these would be to do with our duties as a wife, as a mother, our duties in our workplace, to do with cleaning the house or buying the groceries, or taking care of a neighbor who's in need, or being aware of those around us, giving to somebody who's in need. It may be the call to be present with our children when they have a footy match. Yeah. Hopefully we'll get back to that soon.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Or just being there to listen to a daughter who has an emotional upset.
Yeah.
The calling to be present there. And one of my concerns is this idea about our unique God-given purpose in life can become so all-important and all-consuming that we forget the other callings on our lives, which are just as important. And so I think it's really important that we place value on all 3 of those callings and not just our unique purpose in life. So it's important to be present for those around us that we're doing life with. All 3 together constitute the calling of God on our lives.
Beautiful. So we have this incredible invitation and calling to have a relationship with our very Creator, with the one who dreamed us up, who is so passionate about our very existence. And then we have this calling to purpose and identity and destiny, as it were, where we are aware that we have something unique to offer the world. But something that actually grounds and makes all of this beautiful and powerful is the third calling, to be present with the rest of humanity and with the people that are directly in front of us, that God has placed us to do life with or alongside, or to be involved with. And actually, when these 3 are operating together, we have this picture of a meaningful life, which is what Tailor Made, that's one of our heartbeats, is meaningful work, but on the whole, a meaningful life. And so I love what these 3 calls offer us. They offer us this step up, this invitation into, I think, a life that we probably all imagine or dream about from a young age. We have a desire to live a life of meaning. And I think particularly in the world as we know it right now, this very strange season that we've found ourselves in of being distant from one another, in a way, we've all kind of been brought to this equal place of examining life. and examining, what do I want to do with my days? What do I want to do with my time? And being very aware in isolation from one another, our great need for one another and to be there for one another, and that suddenly my existence really was about more than me. And for me, the recognition has been that I actually really need other people, and I value having their input and even the proximity of that. And I suppose, thank God for technology that's kept us together in some ways, but I love the power of this message of the 3 calls and the way that it so beautifully reveals to us that we weren't just put on the planet for no good reason, or that we could possibly be a mistake of any kind. I love it. I really, really love it.
And it gives us value in the things that often in our culture, in our culture of mega superheroes, the value is sometimes missed.
Yeah.
And there is such incredible value in fulfilling the calling of your everyday responsibilities.
Yeah. And there's so much beauty in that and so much joy if you're present and mindful with it. And I think it's really valuable. Beautiful. I could sit here all day and talk about it. I just also wanted to ask you before we wrap up, do you have anything, just any wisdom, any encouragement for people who actually are sitting here and they're engaging today with us from that place that they are unemployed and have been so for a long time, or because of COVID-19 and the way that the world's changed, they're underemployed right now, or they're just jobless and purposeless? Like, what would you say from Sally's heart to them right now, in this moment?
Thanks. That's a great question. And there's a whole lot that I could say, but I think I thought of the 3 C's to start with, and the first is character. When you're looking for a job and when you're discouraged about not having a job, the most important thing for you to develop and for you to be confident in is your character, who you are. And as you develop your character and as you become confident in who you are, there's another C, confident in who you are, then people will see that and will be drawn to that. And that's what's going to get you work. It's not necessarily your skills or how amazingly you can do whatever it is that you do. Employers are looking for people of good character. And so that's something that you can work on in isolation if you need to. You can work on in any situation. And that employers across the board will say skills can be taught. Character is something that is much more difficult to teach. And so that needs to come from you. I used to be a high school teacher, and I used to surprise my students by saying it's really important that you get an A. But the A is attitude. And so attitude fits in with character. That you develop a really good attitude. So that whatever happens, it's no mistake that employers will often ask in an interview, how do you deal with conflict? Can you describe a time that you have had conflict and how you've dealt with it? Because that indicates what kind of an attitude you have and where your character is. So you can be working on that. You can be developing that in this time between employment. Another thing to be working on, and again, is contacts. And so people know that it's not so much what you know, it's who you know in the journey to find work. So start thinking about the people who can help you to find work, who are placed strategically, or who might know other people who are strategically placed, where you might find employment, who can put in a good word for you, who can recommend you, who can let you know of positions that might work for you. Develop your contacts and be in touch with them, even if it is not face-to-face at the moment. Be thinking about those people and how you can develop that relationship. And then thirdly, courage. It takes courage to walk through the journey of being unemployed and moving into a place of being employed. So what does courage look like for you? Is it facing today and not being anxious for tomorrow? Is it looking to meet someone else's needs before your own, even when your needs are so strongly in your face? Is it trusting that even though you can't see the way forward, God is at work, even though you can't see what he's doing. He is at work.
Wow.
It's courage to face those things and many others. And so this isn't the end of the story. The story will continue for you. So don't feel like you're stuck and this is the way it's going to be forever. There is another chapter in the story. Be encouraged.
Wow. Friends, Sally Marks. I mean, what do I even say to wrap up a moment like that? I think one thing that's really, really, for me, come out of chatting with you, Sally, is just those final moments there where you spoke about courage. I think one of the things about feeling isolated, feeling like you've lost purpose because you've lost a job, you often lose courage, the courage to try again when you've tried and failed or had a door closed so many times. And I love the thought that courage is not the absence of fear, but it's not letting fear have the final say. Woo! Love it. It's one of my favorite quotes ever. And so today, if we can leave you with these thoughts, don't let fear have the final say. Have another go. Remember that you have been called to be welcome as a child of God. You have been called to have a purpose and a unique destiny. You have been called to give your life in service to others. And when we refresh and look after others, we get so much in return. And be courageous today. Don't let fear have the final say. Show up, be seen, and you have such a part to play. Thank you for being with us for Project Tailor Made. We'll see you again next time. Bye.